The reign of Cronus. A father's fear. Today, we're delving deep into one of the most pivotal and dramatic sagas in Greek mythology, the epic conflict between the powerful titan Cronus and his eventual successor, his son Zeus. If you'd like to support content like this, feel free to like and subscribe, but only if you really want to. This isn't just a story about a changing of the guard, it's a tale steeped in prophecy, fear, and ultimate rebellion. Our story begins in the very earliest days of the cosmos, when the Titans, children of Uranus, Sky, and Gaia, Earth, held dominion. Among them, Cronus reigned supreme. He had overthrown his own father, Uranus, with the help of his mother Gaia, in a violent act that cemented his power. This act, the castration of Uranus, was a brutal assertion of dominance, a defining moment that established Cronus as the paramount ruler of the universe. He had effectively ended the primordial chaos, but at a terrible price, for his father's dying curse lingered like a dark cloud over his triumph. However, as often happens in cycles of power, Cronus himself was burdened by a chilling prophecy. Uranus, in his dying breath, foretold that Cronus, too, would be overthrown by one of his own children. This prophecy haunted Cronus, fueling a deep paranoia that would shape his cruel actions. Every sunrise brought with it the chilling reminder of his father's curse. Every shadow seemed to conceal the threat of his own progeny. His reign, though absolute, was shadowed by this constant dread, turning his heart cold and calculating. He feared his future more than he cherished his present, a fear that transformed him into a tyrant. A horrifying solution: the devouring of the gods. To prevent this grim fate, Cronus devised a horrifying solution. As each of his divine offspring was born to his sister wife, Rhea, Cronus would immediately swallow them whole. Imagine Rhea's anguish, bearing child after child, only to watch them disappear into the gullet of their fearsome father. Each birth was a fresh wave of agony, not for the physical pain of labor, but for the instant horrifying loss that followed. She could still hear, or perhaps only imagine, the faint, muffled cries of her infants, swallowed into the cavernous depths of Cronus's stomach, their divine essences held captive. The thought of their perpetual imprisonment, their potential snuffed out before it could even flicker, was a torment worse than any physical pain. She wept endlessly, her tears watering the very earth, staining the petals of the asphodel and the leaves of the olive trees with her profound sorrow. The air around her seemed to thicken with her grief, a constant shroud that dulled the vibrant hues of the world. She wandered the sprawling landscapes of the nascent world, a divine mother haunted by the spectre of her missing children, their absent presence a gaping wound in her soul. Her lamentations echoed through the valleys and across the plains, a mournful song that resonated with the very fabric of the cosmos. Yet Cronus, consumed by his paranoia and fear of the prophecy, remained oblivious or indifferent to her suffering. His focus was solely on maintaining his power, ensuring that no successor would rise from his own lineage to challenge his tyrannical rule, just as he had challenged his father, Uranus. He believed his actions were justified, a necessary evil to preserve the stability of his reign, failing to grasp the profound injustice and cruelty inherent in devouring his own flesh and blood. One by one, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon all met this grim internal fate, trapped within Cronus, unable to escape his tyrannical grip. Their divine sparks flickered within the darkness of his belly, waiting. Rhea's desperation and Zeus's concealment. Rhea, heartbroken but resolute, could not bear to lose her sixth child. She recognized the terrifying pattern, the echoing cycle of patriarchal dominance and violent overthrow. But amidst her profound sorrow, a fierce defiance began to brew within her. It was a slow burn, kindled by desperation and the primal instinct of a mother to protect her young. Her despair slowly hardened into resolute determination, fueled by a mother's desperate love and the counsel of her own parents, Uranus and Gaia. Both had also suffered at Cronus's hands, Uranus directly, and Gaia by witnessing her beloved children, the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires, imprisoned in Tartarus by Cronus, they saw the injustice and the cyclical nature of his cruelty, the chilling repetition of history, and together they conspired. Gaia, the ancient all-knowing earth, whispered secrets of deception and refuge into Rhea's troubled mind, imparting a plan born of ages of cosmic wisdom. When Rhea became pregnant with Zeus, she knew this was her last chance, her final desperate gamble against the unyielding tyranny of her husband. Her heart throbbed with a mixture of terror and an exhilarating hope she hadn't felt in eons. She confided in Uranus and Gaia, receiving their full support and guidance. As her labor pains began, she didn't remain by Cronos's side, as she had done with the previous 5. Instead, with newfound resolve, she sought refuge in the shadowed, labyrinthine caves of Crete, a rugged island blessed by Gaia's ancient magic and hidden from the Titan king's piercing gaze. The air on Crete felt different, imbued with a sense of possibility and sanctuary. There, in the deepest recesses of a sacred grotto, amidst the echoing drips of stalactites and the whispering winds, she gave birth to her youngest son. He was a vibrant, strong babe, filled with a nascent power that even then seemed to hum in the air around him. This time, there would be no instant, agonizing consumption. Instead of presenting her newborn son, she famously wrapped a sturdy stone in swaddling clothes, carefully selecting one that was the same weight and size as a newborn. A cruel but ingenious deception. The fabric she used was the finest silk, lovingly embroidered, to give the illusion of a cherished infant, making the ruse all the more convincing. She returned to Cronus, her face a mask of exhaustion and feigned sorrow, presenting him with the swaddled stone. Cronus, perhaps blinded by his paranoia or simply unobservant, swallowed the stone without hesitation, believing he had once again thwarted destiny. His relief was palpable, a brief moment of false security that would prove to be his undoing. Unbeknownst to him, he had swallowed a mere rock, unknowingly sealing his own doom and swallowing the very instrument of his future downfall. Meanwhile, the infant Zeus was whisked away to the secluded island of Crete. There he was raised in secrecy, nurtured by nymphs, often said to be Adrastea and Ida, who provided him with ambrosia and nectar. He was protected by the Curetes, armed dancers who would clash their spears and shields to drown out his cries, preventing Cronus from ever discovering his hidden son. The rhythmic clamor of their bronze weapons filled the grotto, a deceptive symphony of protection. Zeus grew up in the shadows, his destiny waiting, absorbing the strength of the land and the wisdom of his hidden upbringing, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. The quiet deception on Crete was not just a clever trick, it was the tiny yet momentous crack in the foundation of Cronos's seemingly unshakable power, the first ripple in the tidal wave of rebellion that would soon engulf the mythological world. The confrontation, release and rebellion. As Zeus matured, he was strong, cunning, and filled with a burning desire to liberate his trapped siblings and confront his tyrannical father. He eventually made his way back to the realm of the Titans, possibly with the aid of Metis, the Titan goddess of wisdom. Metis, renowned for her cleverness, played a crucial role in the plan. Some myths say Metis tricked Cronus into drinking a potent emetic concoction disguised as a special wine, which would force him to regurgitate everything he had swallowed. Others suggest Zeus, now a formidable young god, simply forced the issue through sheer power or cunning. But the outcome was the same. Cronus was compelled to ingest a powerful emetic, his mighty Titan body racked with internal convulsions. What followed was a truly astonishing event. Cronus violently vomited forth all of his previously swallowed children. One after another, the fully grown gods and goddesses emerged, whole and immortal, blinking in the light after their long, dark imprisonment. Imagine the shock, the reunion, and the immediate understanding of the horrific injustice they had suffered. These were Zeus's elder siblings, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter, all eager for vengeance. They had been trapped in the dark abyss of their father's stomach, their lives on hold, their destinies unfulfilled. Their release was not merely physical, it was a symbolic freeing of their immense divine powers, which now surged through them with renewed vigor. The first item Cronus regurgitated, according to some tales, was the very stone Rhea had given him, which Zeus later set up at Delphi as a sacred marker, the omphalos, or navel of the world. With his newly liberated siblings at his side, united by their shared ordeal and burning desire for retribution, Zeus declared war on Cronus and the older generation of Titans. This monumental conflict became known as the Titanomachy, a devastating war that raged for an incredible 10 years. It was a cataclysmic clash of cosmic power, shaking the very foundations of the world. Mountains crumbled, oceans churned, and the very sky was rent with the fury of divine combat. The Olympians, representing a new order, fought against the old established Titans. The battle lines were drawn. On one side, Zeus and his siblings, backed by newly freed allies. On the other, Cronus and his loyal Titan brethren, defending their long-held supremacy. The victory of the Olympians and a new era. The war was fierce, a protracted struggle that scarred the primordial landscape, but the Olympians had powerful allies. Zeus, displaying tactical brilliance, sought out the imprisoned children of Uranus and Gaia, whom Cronus had feared and banished to Tartarus. From the depths of the underworld, he freed the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants renowned for their craftsmanship. In gratitude, they forged for Zeus his signature weapon, the lightning bolts, fiery shafts of pure destructive power that became a symbol of his overwhelming might. He also freed the Hecatoncheires, gigantic beings with 100 arms and 50 heads, whose sheer physical force was unmatched. With 100 arms each, they could hurl massive rocks at the Titans with incredible, ceaseless force, turning the battlefield into a storm of projectiles. Ultimately, the might and strategic prowess of Zeus and his allies prevailed. After a decade of relentless warfare, Cronus and the majority of the Titans were utterly defeated. They were not killed, for gods are immortal, but they were banished. Cronus, along with many of his siblings and loyal followers, was cast down into Tartarus, the deepest and darkest abyss of the underworld, a chasm even lower than Hades, where they were chained and imprisoned for eternity, guarded by the vigilant Hecatoncheires. This was a poetic justice, mirroring Cronus's own act of imprisoning his children and his brothers. This victory marked a fundamental shift in the cosmic order. With Cronus overthrown and the Titans imprisoned, Zeus and his siblings established their reign on Mount Olympus, the highest peak in Greece. From there, Zeus became the king of the gods, ushering in the age of the Olympians, a new pantheon that would rule the world of gods and mortals for millennia. They divided the cosmos amongst themselves. Zeus took dominion over the sky and became the supreme ruler, Poseidon claimed the seas, and Hades was given the underworld. It's a powerful story of prophecy, a desperate mother's love, and the son who dared to challenge and ultimately overcome his tyrannical father, forever changing the face of Greek mythology and laying the foundation for countless